21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
What if your business's marketing wasn't really broken? You just didn't have good eyes or optics on what is working and what is not in your business, so you could actually then stop the stuff that's not working and do more of what is? What if it was really that simple? My name is Draye Redfern. I'm the founder of Fractional CMO.com. We've served some of the biggest names in the business space, from sharks from Shark Tank to big Wall Street companies, all the way down to the mom and pop on Main Street. And what I want to share with you today is small little tweaks that you can make in your business's marketing that can have a profound impact, allowing you to gain more clients without spending too much money and actually have a business that is really fun and exhilarating to run again. So one of the ways that any business basically out there can begin to have a small hinge, like the saying, small hinges swing big doors, install more of these small hinges into your business is what we call the anchor framework. Anchor stands for attract, nurture, convert, humanize, optimize, and then retention and recurring revenue. Even some of the best businesses out there, like we've had big private equity companies with $19-20 billion of companies that they manage. They're usually missing at least two of these. And so if you take that all the way down to like the mom and pop on Main Street and small businesses, they're usually missing between 3 and 4 of them. And so that is an interesting framework with which we can use as a jumping off point to begin to have more impact in your business, to fix the things that are broken. Because what you should be doing is stopping the stuff that's not working, whether that's throwing good money after bad on advertising spend, or have an offer that's just not working or converting, or not even having good optics on your business, or even just sending a bunch of stuff out there and not having any real connection with the prospects of your business or the leads for your business. So with that said, we can go from the top down and start with attract. When it comes to attracting new people to your business, we have 25 methods that we use to begin to bring more people to the business. Now, most businesses only have one. Now, referrals is the one that most people rely on, but that typically ends up leading in a feast to famine roller coaster. So it's good months, and then, oh my gosh, how am I going to make ends meet? So usually we recommend at least 2 to 3 at a bare minimum of having new ways to attract people into the business. Now, every business is going to be different. You can make TikTok work. You can make Instagram work. You can make paid ads work or SEO work or even direct mail. They all work. The question is, do they work for you in your business? And that's the question that you probably have to answer for yourself. That's hard to sort of encompass in the topic of just this podcast. But my challenge to anyone listening is really try to get 2 to 3 at a bare minimum new ways to bring people in. Don't do any more than that to start, because if you try 5 things, you're going to do 5 things very poorly or 5 things very mediocre in the grand scheme of things. Begin with just an extra 1 or 2, so adding on to what you currently have, and start with that. The second part of it is you have to be consistent. Like I said, you can make anything work. Most people, they post on socials for like a week or 2 or a month, and they're like, well, I haven't gotten any leads. And so they pull the plug and they're like, well, social media doesn't work for me, or direct mail doesn't work for me, or whatever the thing is. So that's the second part. You have to stay consistent. The second part of the anchor framework is that you have to nurture people. In this day and age, we're seeing buying cycles, whether you're selling a widget, a tchotchke, or a really high-end professional service like medical services or legal services or financial advising services, whatever, buying cycles are just taking longer. And so what does that mean for you? You can't just get a lead in and then, post and pray. You've got to nurture those people. So the simplest thing that we recommend here that almost anyone can do is write 52 emails, 52 angles, 52 pain points or issues or FAQs that your target market has. Write them and then throw them into your autoresponder, whether that's a ClickFunnels or a Go High Level or a MailChimp. It doesn't matter what it is. And then set it to basically post send one email per week for 52 weeks. That way, You don't have to like write an email and then get busy, or the dog starts, barking at the door, or the kids start crying, you're on vacation, whatever the thing is, it's consistent. And then with any of these automation softwares, at the end of 52 weeks, you just start a little tag that says start back at the beginning. Because do you remember an email that you got a year ago? Nobody does. Like, that's just the reality of the world that we live in. So that way you can nurture people indefinitely until they finally is the right time, they raise their hand and they want to become a client of yours. The third part of Anchor is convert. So when it comes to conversion, most people like conversion, it means I get a sale. And that could be that, but there's so many other conversion things to look at in a business. Is that the opt-in rate to your ebook or your webinar or whatever it is on the front end? Is that the conversion rate to getting a booked call? Is that the conversion rate on that sales call? It could be a bunch of different things, but what are the conversion metrics that actually matter for you and your business? Usually there's between 2 and 4, that if those 2 to 4 were to increase, revenue goes up and to the right, and you can mess everything else up. But if those 2 to 4 conversion metrics are going up, you're making more money. The problem is most people try to overcomplicate it, and it makes it way, way, way more difficult. So what are those 2 to 4 conversion things in your business that are those small hinges that can swing big doors? So for me, for example, I want to know front end conversion rate of getting people on the email list. The second one, I want to know what is my percentage of getting booked calls, like people to actually book a call on our calendar. And our third is, what is the conversion rate with my salespeople to actually close that sale? I could mess almost everything else up in the business, but if those 3 things are right, I am making way more money. After that, so we've done attract, nurture, convert. The next one is humanize. It's been so easy, and like it's so, used, too much these days, where high contact first name in your MailChimp or whatever that you're using, that's not really creating a human to human relationship. Because whether you're selling B2B, business to business, or B2C, business to consumer, we are now in an H to H world, human to human. And so how do you treat other people like they are, one of one and not a number in your CRM or anything like that? How do you treat them like they actually matter? And you could do so much stuff with AI. Like personally, I make 10,000 customized videos every single month that say, hey, Susan, Draye Redfern here. Listen, I wanted to make this video for you because XYZ, your company name, we thought that we maybe want to reach out because of XYZ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is variable data that you can now have via video at scale that we do 10,000 times a month to create interactions like that. And so if you were getting that video and it was like, hey, your name, then would you rather watch that or, hello, my name is Draye Redfern and buy my stuff? Like, no one wants to listen to that sort of stuff anymore. People want to feel like they're special. They want to feel like they matter. And the funny thing here is, like, this is nothing new. This dates back 100-something years to the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he always says, the sweetest sound to someone's ears is the sound of their own name. So use it. Use people's names as much as you can. Make them feel special. Make them feel one of one. Because not only do you move people from prospect to client much, much faster, you deepen the rapport of existing clients and they stay around much, much longer. Next after that of the Anchor framework is optimize. What are the stats? What are the metrics? What are the things in your business that you need to have eyes on? The vast majority of business owners don't really have good optics about their marketing when it comes to the business. Maybe they look at their email open rate, maybe they look at their click-through rate or how many visitors to the website per month, but that's usually where most business owners stop. And so what are the metrics that you need to track? What are the particular KPIs? That could be bounce rate on your website. So if you have over a 50% bounce rate, meaning someone visits your website or your funnel and then they leave, they don't visit another page. If that's above 50%, your message is not resonating, your content's not resonating, or you're going after the wrong audience. So that may be a KPI, a key performance indicator that may be worth you monitoring. Maybe that is booked calls per month. Maybe that is time to sale. Maybe that is revenue per head, meaning if you have 10 employees and you're making $1,000 to $100,000 a month, then your revenue per employee is $10,000 per month. That may be another one. Every business has different KPIs that they need to be monitoring. The vast majority of people, though, don't really take the time to figure out what that should be for their individual business and then actually begin to optimize it. There's a saying, I believe it's Pearson's Law, that says that which is monitored improves, but that which is monitored and reported improves exponentially. And so not only just want to report it, like capture the data, you want to capture that data and then report on it, whether that's someone on your team or a VA or something else, in order to know what is working in the business and what to then optimize. And then the final part of the anchor framework is retention and recurring revenue. Now, it is not sexy to talk about retention and recurring revenue. Everyone else out there brags about, I got 500 new leads this month. They all talk about the attract stuff. For me, I would much rather play in the game that people don't find sexy, which is retention and recurring revenue, because if I can get a client today and have that client be a client of mine every single month for months or years on end, I'd much rather do that, because it's 5 to 25 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to simply retain an existing one. But it's not talked about and no one spends any time with it. So simple things you can do, like tactics, is you could send on their birthday or when you're onboarding them, whatever else, get their birthday or get their wedding anniversary, get a special moment in their life that's obviously special to them, and send them a handwritten note in the mail about a week beforehand so it lands right on their birthday or their anniversary. There are services out there that you could use, especially if you're in the US, handwritten.com, written with a Y. You can go there, type in your message. It will have a robotic hand write the note for you, not like an inkjet style printer. So you can legitimately see the ink bleeds and the writing to match your handwriting style, etc., and mail that to them on their birthday. So they this is why I'm a client of yours, because you always, you never forget the things that are important to me. You just go above and beyond. It's simple little tweaks like that. And depending on your CRM, you could automate that via like an API or a Zapier Zap or something like that, depending on your individual use case. So you never have to actually even think about it. You plug it in once, and then a week before their birthday or anniversary, it sends out automatically. So little things like that can dramatically improve retention with your existing clientele. The other part of that is the recurring revenue. So I challenge people, maybe it's a small tweak, maybe it's a higher level of service based on the product or service that you currently offer that you can charge monthly for. So you're serving them at a much higher level, you're doing much more work for them, and obviously as a result of that, you want to get paid for that, but now you don't have to go hunting every single month. So it creates this balance of the gardener planting the seeds and then building all of this out and being patient and waiting for this to actually until you can actually reap the reward of sowing your crop, which is great. You can have a long-term sustenance with that. Also, hunting, it can take a while to get a big game or a big whale, depending on whatever the jargon is that you use in your business. So that sort of strategy allows you to play both long-term, building that client base, the retention, but also recurring revenue of having way more money coming in every single month without you having to go hunt every single month to try and make ends meet. So that is the anchor framework. I've been at this for 20 years, basically, at this point. And over the first 10 or so, we built a company up to about $40 million a year in annual sales. And I was fortunate enough to run all the marketing for that, have control of 49% of that company. And we eventually sold that to one of the Berkshire Hathaway companies, Berkshire Hathaway obviously being Warren Buffett's company that he runs. And in going through that process, it really taught me a lot about what other businesses are looking for in a business that they really want to acquire. Berkshire sends out all of their MBAs and they try to leave no stone unturned. And so what we've basically done with both the Recession Survival Guide and Fractional CMO is take all of that and try to help other business owners install that into their business, the things that work, so that whether they want to sell or not, they have a much more solid foundation about how their business runs, how it operates, basically having a self-managing company and doing it with way more certainty in how they operate it. Now, since then, I've had Fractional CMO for the last 5 or 6 years, my full service marketing agency, Redfern Media, for about 15 years. And what we try to do in each of those is we work with a lot of really great people, from, big personality brands down to the mom and pop on Main Street. But no matter what, one of the underpinning I think is so, so important. I've been so blessed in my life is that we give back. And so a portion of all of our profits that we have at the end of every year, we donate to a variety of different charities. And it typically rotates. Maybe it's, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Sometimes it's Pencils for Promise, which I absolutely love. They build schools. They dig wells, and so they can, provide running water and sanitation in areas that don't have it, and educate the next generation of children for years and years to come. Because I'm such a proponent on both traditional and non-traditional education, because I think that's one of the best knobs that you can turn to have a profound impact on anyone's life. So giving more children the option for that is something I absolutely adore. But as a portion of everything we try to do is to give back. Because I've been, like I said, so blessed, and it's one of these things where I feel like a calling to give back. But in doing that, it's one of these things where there are a lot of interesting charities that are out there that are run very, very heavily on the administrative side. I try to pick the charities or foundations where admin costs are covered by other organizations. So 100% of that money goes directly to helping the cause. And so that's definitely something that we believe strongly in. My wife and I are big proponents of all of that, and couldn't be more proud to be a part of things like that. So for me, in 5 years, the goal is to be able to be financially done, that I am out of the rat race entirely. All of my companies are self-managing and they don't require me, so that I can free up more of my time to be dad and be a husband and be a really present husband and father, because that is the number one thing to me in my life, and being with them. And so that involves traveling the world, because I believe that I want to always keep my children having been to more countries than years they've been alive. So at this point, I've got a 16-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and I always try to keep them above their age in countries that they've been to. So it's things like that. And recognize that moments with children are fleeting. It's such a small amount of time. And so having experiences like that are like absolutely paramount for us. Like, we'll be in Mexico next week, Spain and Portugal this summer, London in the fall, really trying to give my kid a world and depths of experience. But in order to do that and afford those capabilities, it's going to be involving selling at least one or two more of the companies that I own. And I think that every business should be always prepping to sell, whether they ever sell it or not. Because if you have a business that is ready to sell, that company's largely self-managing, meaning it can run without you. The marketing leads come in without you having to be the dancing bear. Sales get sold without you having to be on the phone or on Zoom actually closing those things. That is the type of company that any buyer wants to buy. And so the goal, both for me and it should be for anyone else out here listening, is try to build that. Get a business worth selling, even if you never do. So if you like the Anchor framework, one of the easiest ways to begin to optimize your business, you can certainly do all of that yourself. But if you wanted to go to fractionalcmo.com, fractionalcmo.com, there's a marketing diagnostic that we've pieced together. Now, on that page, you can learn a lot more about it, but it basically allows you to diagnose and score each individual section based on your individual business needs, where you're lacking and where you're ranking really high. And then as a result of that, we compile a completely customized for you 11-page report on the back end telling you exactly what you need to fix, and both the strategies you can use and the tactics that you can begin implementing today to actually start having more leverage and more success in your business with marketing. So if it's of interest and you like the anchor framework, you like the structure, you like the style, and you want to begin to optimize most of those things, then just go to fractionalcmo.com and click on the marketing diagnostic. On top of that, one of the interesting things right now is regardless of which country you're in, there's a lot of like turbulent times going on. There's a lot of big question marks of, are things going to keep going up and to the right? Are we going to fall into a recession, or even worse, a depression? And the stats, at least for those in the West, are every 11 years, we typically have a recession. Every 100 years, we have a depression. Bad news is we're basically due for both. Now, for the businesses out there that are prepared, this is not a really big concern because you've optimized, you've done all these things, and you could take such advantage of downturns like what may be coming. So if that's the case and you want to shore up the business, you want to get your financials in place, you want to have rock freaking solid marketing, you want to have an underpinning that isn't a foundation built on sand and is really built on like actual concrete, really solid foundation, then you could go download my book. It's on Amazon. It's called The Recession Survival Guide. It'll walk you through high-level strategy of things to consider. And then at the end of every chapter, we walk you through 100 tactics that you can use based off of that particular chapter that you can basically begin implementing today, trying to make it as easy for you as possible to begin achieving more results and have a really solid foundation in your business, not a week from now or a month from now or a year from now, starting today. So that's Recession Survival Guide, and you can get it on Amazon.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.